Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and it's time for part 3 of our bass drum technique series. So in the first 2 parts, we covered technique, basic technique, and then some groove studies. This time we're going to go to page 121 in my book and work on the hand-foot coordination section. And this is a great section for developing your bass drum technique. Now, I've worked on some of this stuff in some of these other videos over the years, but like I said in the first 2 videos, I've never had them in a step-by-step basis. So if you start with the first video, work on those exercises into the second, and this is a culmination of those 2 videos. This video here, where we use all of our bass drum technique and our coordination to work on soloing and fills and things like that. So we'll start with page 121, and you'll see it on the screen here. And all this is a combination of hand and foot studies in straight 16ths. Even if you don't read well, this is pretty easy to read slowly. So I'll play this first exercise for you, lines 1 through 6, and I'll play it what I consider a slow tempo at 100. And we'll put on the 16ths. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're not used to playing your hi-hat when you're doing stuff like this, it's going to be difficult, and you're going to get a little bit frustrated, but you just got to keep going. I would suggest doing each bar, each measure, over and over. Repetition, as I've always said, is the key to everything here. So once you have that down, you want to play around the drums. So you're improvising. And you saw there the sticking was basically just alternating. There's no set sticking, so don't worry too much about that. Whatever you can manage. So we'll make this a little faster at like 120, and now I'll play it for you around the drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. You saw there I was playing quarter notes on my hi-hat. You can also do splashes like this. You can put your hi-hat on eighths like this. And I would definitely suggest putting your hi-hat on upbeats like this. you saw those last two bars, I started playing flams. So that's the next way you want to do this. Every time you see a group of 16ths with your hands, you can play the first note as a flam. You can sometimes play all the notes as a flam. So I'll demonstrate that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not sure all of that was right, but we'll check it later. And finally, the last two lines, or last four lines of page 121 is also very important. I'll play that for you. And you're doing two notes on the bass drum now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a good one as well. The last thing you could do with this page is go back to the first 6 lines and play all those bass drum notes as 30-second notes. And you can even try to do them as 30-second note triplets at times. So we'll take off, well, no, we'll keep everything like it is, but we'll just slow it down just a hair to 110 and see how this goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you get the idea there. It's okay there to dead stroke that second bass drum note like this. We talked about that in the second video, but you don't want to generally leave the beater in the head, all right? Page 122 is a collection of these rhythms on page 121, so I definitely suggest learning that. We don't have time to do today, but if you look at some of my other videos in this playlist, you will see that being played. 123, we introduced the broken notes. So this is important, and I do this with every section in this section of the book. So these are 16ths that are left out. So I can just show you a little of that right now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, a lot of you ask me about tempos for these. It doesn't really matter. It's good to practice them slow, of course. I would definitely suggest practicing all of this very slow because it's good for your technique. Don't always practice fast. That's a big mistake. That being said, these can be played quickly. Most of the questions I get is, how fast can I play these? I'm like, I don't know. How fast can you play them? It's not up to me. But if you do them fast, I would suggest doing two things. Lighten up, for sure, and relax your body. One thing I see when some of you send me videos, you're very tense. A lot of you are tense when you play like that. The faster you go, the more relaxed you are. So let's just do a little experiment. I'll do this real fast at 130, and I'm going to try to play this legato around the drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see how relaxed I am there? That's the key to playing fast. All right? Just totally relax your body and you build up to it. Don't just try to do it and be tense. That's the key to all of this. And again, repetition. Now, another way to play this that's really fun is to do some sort of ostinato and then play the bass drum in the left hand under it. So a good one to do is something like this. It's like the jazz rhythm, but straightened out. All right, so let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see how I'm doing that? And again, I'm playing nice and relaxed and lighter. And if you play slower, that's a great exercise too because you're working on control. So I would spend as much or more time on playing slow like that and make sure everything's as even as possible. Sometimes you're going to have to play with drum machines or sequencers or pre-recorded tracks. And definitely, if you do a lot of studio work like I do, you're going to be playing with a click all the time. That's just the way it is, except if you're playing a jazz session. Normally, the click is not used for that. Then we move on to page 124. And now we have some triplets. So here's where we can get into the little bit of jazz that is in this section. And these are rock drums I'm playing here. These are Peavey Radio 1000s. Great sounding, weird looking, but great sounding rock drums. They're not jazz drums, but I'll play this. It won't sound appropriate, but I'll play these on these drums today. So the first thing you want to do here is put it on triplets. And we're going to kind of channel our best Elvin Jones impersonation here and try to get these triplets to be smooth. So 120 is a good tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a good place to start. And it's hard to do that, especially with keeping that hi-hat steady. But eventually you want to get it a little bit faster. 140 is a nice, healthy tempo. You'll see that you'll have to bounce that left hand pretty quickly. I'll play this for you there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll do a little bit of the next section lines 1 through 4. We'll do a little bit faster. Say 150. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, challenging stuff, but really good for your relaxation and timekeeping. If you turn the page, we see, again, the collection on page 125 of the previous 2 exercises. So play through that. But right now, we're going to talk about page 126, which are the broken notes in triplets. Try to do that same thing where you're playing that jazz ride pattern. Play a little of that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the broken ones are more musical. It's not just straight triplets all the time. If we skip now to page 127, this is the most difficult stuff in this section of the book. So these are groupings of sixteenths and triplets, which are really important for soloing and playing fills. So the first thing you want to do is turn the triplet off and play them slower. We'll go back to our 120 tempo. And you want to just play them on the snare drum. So the first couple lines would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now's a good time to start experimenting with splashes on the hi-hat. We raised the metronome up a little, and you would do this. Now it's important that you do this because the feet have to be coordinated as well. So if you're just doing this all the time, I mean, that's great, but that's only one kind of foot motion. That splash motion is a different kind of motion. So you have to coordinate that with your bass drum. These are great for learning that. So I'll show you a little of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be very, very challenging. It's going to take you a year or so to be able to play stuff like that. But again, it's important. Up, down, up, down. There's no weaknesses. You know, we always spend so much time working on our hands, but many of us neglect our feet. And when I was first starting out, that's exactly what happened to me. I was all hands all the time. And then one day I realized my foot was just really weak in both my feet. And then I spent the next 2 or 3 years just working on that. And it really, really made a big difference in my playing and my career. Next, we have 128. This is broken, so this is going to be harder rhythmically. You want to do the same thing here with that splash hi-hat. You can also play both these pages with the jazz ride cymbal pattern. Now when you do that, all the 16th notes will be tighter together. So in other words, you're going to do this. And the triplets will be as usual. But you should do it in a subtle way so it's not very noticeable. So we'll try that at quarter note equals 140. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So hopefully you hear the difference between the groupings. So I hope you enjoyed this series. I certainly did. It actually helped me gather my thoughts. I teach this stuff a lot, but I always want to organize it to best suit the student. And if you do these in order, I'm pretty confident that you'll get really good results. Now, it might take you, like I said, maybe a year or two to get all this stuff down, but it'll be well worth it. So I'll just play a little for you and keep your comments and your emails coming, and we'll see you soon.